Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are once again back in Warframe for another build, and this time we are having a look at Hildryn Prime. I have never made a video about her, which is weird because she is an extremely powerful Warframe. And she's also very peculiar because she does not use any energy at all, she instead uses her shields. And she will use her shields to power each and every of her abilities, because every time you cast something, it will consume a little bit of her shields, but picking up some energy orbs will actually restore shields. So you don't really lose anything in terms of functionality. You still have to pick up energy orbs to restore energy, which in this case is shields. But of course there are many other ways to just recharge her shields very fast. But most importantly, she is big, she is strong, she eats javelins, and she has Aegistorm. And by using Aegistorm, she's able to do this, which means she's able to fly and just have a very advantageous point of view above the battlefield, which yeah, it's just really nice, and it's not that slow. You can just move around quite freely, and you're able to dodge to just cover some more distance, although it does cost a little bit of your shields. We can just cast some of our abilities to restore shields anyways. We'll see more on that later, and you can just go up and down whenever you want with your crouch and jump buttons. And you have access to the Balefire, which is her exalted pistol. But that's enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. Let's start from Hildryn's abilities. The passive allows her to have a very long shield gate of up to 3.5 seconds. It's actually just 3.5 seconds even without any mods equipped on her, because she just does have so much shields at base, and so she just has 3.5 seconds of not being able to die whenever her shields run out. She's also incapable of taking any damage to her HP, while she has overshields from any status type damage, so like any slash or toxin or whatever won't deal any damage to her HP as long as she has overshields. And as we already mentioned, she does use her shields instead of any energy to cast all of her abilities. Her first ability is gonna be her exalted pistol, which is called the Balefire. This will deal devastating electricity damage to all enemies you hit, and you can also charge the attack to deal even more damage. Of course, by charging you will consume more shields per shot. It does not really matter though, because we won't be using this ability as it is at all on this build. You're also able to separately mod this weapon, so you can just keep a bunch of damage on it, and we'll see how much damage it is later. Moving to the second ability, you may be familiar with this one because it's Pillage. And this is also her element ability, so if you happen to sacrifice your Hildryn to the helmet, you will get Pillage out of that. And what Pillage does is it consumes a little bit of her shields, and then casts this expanding ring that will expand for a certain duration that drains a percentage of enemy's shield and armor. In addition, whenever this expanding ring collapses, it will come back to Hildryn and restore a portion of her shields. When you cast ability, you also remove all negative effects from you and all allies in range. Then we have Haven, her third ability, and this is both a damage dealing tool and a very nice support ability for your team. The fact that it does deal damage to enemies nearby, it's kind of a debuff because it doesn't really deal that much damage, and it does consume a shield per enemy you're hitting, so it's a bit of a waste of shields because, yeah, just dealing 600 damage per second is not that much. Even if you armor ship enemies, it's usually not that big of a deal. On the other hand, for all your allies, this is incredibly powerful because you're granting them a massive amount of shields, also a massive boost to their shield recharge, and you're also granting them your passive, which means they will also get the 3.5 seconds of shield gate invulnerability after their shields are broken. This ability will drain a lot of your shield, so be careful and deactivate it if you need to, because yeah, it's quite expensive to keep up. And last but not least, we have what Steve once described the Anthem ability that she has, although Anthem is not a game anymore. But Hildryn is able to turn on her Aegistorm, and this will allow her to float around, and by doing so she is able to do double the amount of Balefires, so she's now able to shoot twice as fast. And she's also able to lift all enemies that can be CC'd in a certain range that depends on how high she is and also on your range mods. And all enemies that are lifted will have a small cooldown on dropping an energy orb that, as we saw before, can restore your shield. So it's quite easy to keep up with this ability, and usually you won't really have any issues with it. And in addition to all of this, you are free to use all your other abilities. You can even cast Pillage while being in Aegistorm, so you can just restore your shields whenever you need. It's just really easy to use, and you just gain double the amount of Balefire, which we'll see deals so much damage. And if you happen to run out of shields or you just want to deactivate the ability, you will slam into the ground and deal impact damage to all enemies in range and just stun them for a little duration, which paired with you being invulnerable for 3.5 seconds allows you to just recover from it quite easily, and then you just have to cast, let's say, one pillage and you're back to full shield. So it's really easy to survive. She's just a really good Warframe. Now moving to the Archon Shards, I am using 3 Crimson Archon Shards with ability Strength. 2 of them are not Tau Forge because I just ran out of them, but if you do happen to have them, just go for the Tau Forge ones. They will just give you a little bit more strength. Not that big of a deal, but it is just a little bit better. As for the 2 other slots, I'd recommend 1 casting speed Ember Shard and 1 with Parkour Velocity, because Parkour Velocity will allow her to dodge faster and further, so it's usually just better for mobility whenever you are in your Aegistorm form. And this is the build I'll be using in today's video. The aura can be any aura you like. I just went for Corrosive Projection, so we are already removing 80% of enemy's armor, and whenever we pair our Pillage with some other buffs of any sort to our ability Strength, we are able to fully armor strip enemies with just 1 cast, which is really nice. Prime Sure-Footed, so we resist all knockdowns, and this is, in my opinion on Hildryn, a must, because she doesn't really have any other way to prevent status effects other than just avoiding them by being very high in the air with Aegistorm, but I just like having it. It's just very comfortable. You can just replace it with whatever other Exodus mod you like. I'm using Prime Redirection for more shield capacity, Adaptation to reduce the damage we take from enemies, Ogre Secrets, Blind Rage and Transient Fortitude, all to increase our ability strength by a massive amount. And losing 55% ability efficiency may sound bad, but we do have almost 9,000 shields and our abilities usually don't really cost that much other than Haven, as we saw. So yeah, this is not that big of a deal. We really have enough shields to just be able to cast whatever we want whenever we want, even with this massive debuff to our ability efficiency. Then I'm using Prime Continuity to counter the effects of Transient Fortitude, and finally I am using 2 of her augments. I'm using Blazing Pillage, which allows her to have an interaction between Haven and Pillage. Basically, any enemy that is affected by Haven will be set ablaze and takes some hit damage and restore additional shields to Hildryn whenever you cast your Pillage. So let's say you have your Haven, you're dealing damage to all the enemies in a certain radius, and you then cast Pillage. Those enemies will be set on fire, and you will also restore shields, which means even if enemies don't have any armor or any shields, you'll still able to restore some of your shields. This is great for like any infested mission, because they usually don't have armor or shields, and it's just great in general because usually you'll see a lot of armor stripped enemies if the enemies are not dying really fast. As for the second augment, I am using Aegis Gale, and this is the one that allows us to deal stupid damage with our Balefire. This is an augment for your Aegistorm, and it allows your Balefire to have an alternate fire that deals 15% of Hildryn's max shield as additional damage. This alternate fire fires 4 projectiles that will already deal some very funny numbers. We're also granting it another 4,000 base damage to it, which is, you know, it's a lot of damage. So yeah, it's just a really powerful augment that allows Hildryn to deal even more damage. Now moving to the Arcanes, I really recommend going for Arcane Aegis because it's basically like having free energy on Hildryn, because anytime you are damaged, you have a chance to activate this Arcane, and this will just restore your shields. It overrides any of the drains, so you can just have free pretty much energy on Hildryn, and it's just great in general, so you don't have to cast your Pillage all the time, because you also want to do other things when playing Warframe than just casting one ability, I assume. So that's why we're using this one. And the other arcane is the new Arcane Expertise, and this allows your ability strength to also apply to your shields. What this means is that in this case is 90%, but if I had the rank 5, it'll be 100% of my additional ability strength will also be applied to shields. So in this case, I won't be receiving 213% because a base is 100% plus the 35 from our Archon Shards. So in this case, I'm only receiving 192% additional shields thanks to my ability strength, not quite 213 that it should be. And this way we are granting our Balefire more damage thanks to Aegis Gale, and we just have a lot more shields in general, which, by the way, they already take 50% less damage from all damage types other than Toxin, and that 50% left is also reduced by adaptation, so we are already taking very little damage, and since we have that much shields, it's really hard to die, and it also allows us to just cast whatever we need, whenever we want, and just spam Balefire as much as we like, because it's gonna be really hard to completely run out of shields, and even if that happens, we just have a lot of shield recharge, so not that big of a deal. Your shields will restore quite easily. They will start restoring after 1 second, and you are immune for 3.5, so you're restoring like 2000 shields in a matter of seconds, and you also just have to cast 1 pillage to pretty much go back to full anyway, so yeah, it's gonna be really hard for you to die. Now moving to the weapons, you can use whatever you want as your primary weapon of choice. I just went for the Exergis because I just like this weapon a lot. I won't be using this weapon at all in the mission. Once again, we are just gonna focus on Balefire, but it's nice to have it. As for your secondary, it's gonna be the same thing as well, but I do recommend you also equip Amalgam Barrel Diffusion because it grants you 60% dodge speed, and this will affect your dodge while you're flying in your Aegis Storm, so it's just nice to have. As for your melee, I do suggest going for the Praetos because you both gain sprint speed and slide speed, but most importantly you gain parkour velocity, which will once again affect your dodge while you're flying in Aegis Storm. And now for the most important weapon you're going to use, the Balefire, and this is the build you'll be using on the Balefire. You can change some of the things. If you don't like having corrosive and heat, you can change the elements a little bit. I just went for the most amount of damage I could build on this thing. We are dealing 60,000 damage without any additional damage. We do gain additional damage thanks to Cascadia Flare, which grants us 480%, so that's why I'm building heat. And since our status chance is 22%, is quite solid, it's gonna be quite easy to apply heat anyway, and the AoE on this thing is also pretty good. It's 3 meters at base plus another 44% from your prime fulmination, so it's gonna be about 4.5 meters or something like that. It's just really comfortable to just spam your alt fire this way, and we are dealing very consistent damage because we are not relying on any crits, because it's not worth going for any crits. So I instead focused on a lot of multi-shot and a lot of fire rate, and thanks to Cascadia Flare, a lot of damage. I also recommend a little momentum in your extra slot because those projectiles are a little bit slow depending on how far enemies are from you. It's the little cherry on the top, but it will cost you one more forma at least, so up to you to decide if it's worth it. Now for the focus tree, I'll be using Madurai, and that is because Madurai grants us an additional 50% casting speed and 40% ability strength by just going into the operator, performing a couple of void slings, and going back to our Warframe. And if you also happen to unlock the Tauron Strike, the Thara Bow, you also gain an additional 50% ability strength if you do actually heal enemies with that attack or your operator. And I mean, it's just in general more power strength. It's quite good. You could also go for Zenoric. Zenoric is also quite powerful, and the Tauron Strike is once again really good. It grants you a lot of ability strength and duration and even casting speed, so it's quite powerful, but you have to charge your Tauron Strike, so it's a little bit gimmicky, but I mean it's usable. But I do suggest Madurai, it's a lot better. But most importantly, the reason why you want to actually unlock the Tauron Strike is because you get access to actually being able to mod the weapon of the Tauron Strike, and the real reason why we want that is because of the arcane called Zidan Uskos, and this grants you additional heat damage on your secondary weapon, and since our Balefire does have heat on it, this is just 250% more damage throughout the mission if it happens to actually charge all the way. it's just a lot of free damage we're gaining by doing very little, which is just kill enemies with your operator or Eternal Strike, which you may happen to do, and you gain a lot of free damage. So very nice to have this arcane. And in addition, you also have things like more multi-shot, more amp fire rate and amp ammo efficiency. You can also like break containers more efficiently, more max amp energy and amp energy regen, and things like more Eternal Strike initial charge. So it's quite customizable. You can go for whatever you like. I think this is what I currently enjoy, so I'm gonna stick to this. And as always, my companion of choice is gonna be my Panzer Rupafila, because this is my favorite pet. I really can't play anything else. I just really like this pet. I gain more crit damage, which it doesn't really apply to this build, but it's a thing we get. We gain free and passive viral application. It may not be incredibly consistent, but it's absolutely passive and it's always active at all times. Even if the pet dies, it will devolve into this larva and still spread viral, so still quite powerful. It does also spread status effects, which in this case, since we are applying a lot of heat, we are just dealing a lot of damage passively, and this pet can spread all of that to all enemies within 9 meters, so pretty powerful over there as well. So yeah, it's quite powerful, and for the claws, this is what I'm using. Okay, that's pretty much everything for the build, so let's now see it in action. And as always, I'll have my 20 crafted heavy gunners level 230 with Silpat modifiers. My pet is already killing them, but I mean, you can help him out, you know, just dropping hundreds of thousands of damage with our Balefire, because yes, this is the damage we are dealing. And if we also get that 40% more power strength, I mean, yeah, we're dealing a bit more damage now, obviously. And the AoE on the Balefire is absolutely insane. In addition to all of this, we are already building our Arcane here, or Cascadia Flare, because we are applying heat thanks to Haven and Pillage being on this build, and thanks to the augment we're using, because yes, applying heat in any other way will also allow our Cascadia Flare to build up, and our pet is also able to spread all those heat stacks to all enemies within 9 meters, and funny things can happen whenever he does that, because you'll see like thousands and thousands of heat procs happening onto a lot of enemies, and this happens, which is very fun, but this is just a passive thing. We are also dealing tons and tons of damage with our Balefire, so I mean, yeah, this is just a very, very solid build, and it works in pretty much all content. It's gonna be almost impossible for you to die. If I were to impose the enemies, we can see that, I mean, first of all, we can just CC them. I'm not sure what the cap for enemies is. I don't even know if there is one. So there is that, which means we already have like all the enemies in a certain radius that won't be able to attack us, and the ones that are further away are gonna have a hard time aiming at us because we are moving around really fast. We may be like very high up in the air, so just a really, really fun time, very chill. We're sitting on like 10,000 shields most of the time, so yeah, she's incredibly powerful right now. As for your weapons, once again, you won't be using them, but I mean, you can. They are weapons that deal damage. Not that big of a deal. Most of your damage will come in the form of your Balefire and like maybe your pet, if you are using, like me, a Panzer Rupafila. And yeah, that's pretty much everything there's to it. So yeah, that's Hildryn Prime, the biggest female Warframe in the game, and she definitely is one of the strongest right now, because I've seen people with Hildryn in some missions just speeding through the mission incredibly fast, just dodging all the way through it, spamming their alt fire and their pillage, and just deleting everything their path like their enemies are made of paper, even a still path. So yeah, she's incredibly strong. I also have a friend that may enjoy this Warframe a bit too much, so I hope he's watching this video. I'm sure he is. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. So I'll now leave you guys to the showcase where I test this build for 10 minutes in a grenade still pound survival. Hey, so editing Lord here. Basically the mission is not gonna be Grenier, it's gonna be Corpus, because the node I usually play in has an invasion apparently, and I guess it's Corpus now, so you'll see Corpus, but I think that's better because Hildryn suffers a bit from nullifiers, so you'll see how I deal with them. So little correction there. Back to the video, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.
Tudo perde o tom. No seu movimento perco direção, mas sigo firme, sigo tua vibração. Chama que eu vou te encontrar, nem o céu consegue segurar. Se o mundo travar, deixa travar. Nosso ritmo ninguém vai parar. Me leva pra longe, longe sem pensar. Teu toque me prende, faz meu mundo girar. No ritmo do vento, começo a levitar. Se isso for loucura, deixa eu me jogar.
you been avoiding me so much lately? Did I do something wrong, or was it maybe something I said? I'm going crazy thinking about it.
Didn't do anything.
Say you're sorry, darling. Say it's all your fault. Say you miss me and you wish that you answered my calls. Say you're not done falling. Say our love is art. Say you're waiting for me, that you wanna press restart.
Something is obviously bothering you. Suddenly you're Mr. Distant.
Say you're sorry, darling. Say it's all your fault. Say you miss me and you wish that you answered my calls. Say you're not done falling. Say our love is art. Say you're waiting for me, that you wanna press restart.
Oh, and good luck with your buddy in the Mercedes.
I wanted to kick it with you. I just wanna spend the whole night. I wanted to kick it with you. I just wanna spend the whole night with you. I don't wanna think about you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. You lost for tonight. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Let's get lost for tonight.